good evening and welcome to News 360 live from our studio here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. Coming up, the headlines.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Economic experts predict Ghana Cedi to weaken further after Bloomberg rating of the currency as the worst in the third quarter.
DSTV makes U-turn to reduce prices of its packages as government sets up committee to look into fair pricing.
Also coming up, 14 individuals, including teachers, students, and invigilators, arrested across the country for their alleged involvement in examination malpractice in ongoing WASI exams.
And later in business, government targets 10 billion Cedi non-traditional export earnings in 5 years as it seeks to leverage diplomatic missions and NAFTA to boost trade.
In international news, British Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner resigned after mistake of underpaying property tax on a new home.
We are live around the world on our website, 3news.com. We are also streaming on Facebook, and we always love to hear from you. So do let your messages come in.
Beginning with, economic experts have predicted the Ghana Cedi is to weaken further to about 13 cedis to the dollar if adequate measures are not taken to prevent its fall. The Cedi this week became the worst performing currency in the third quarter, according to Bloomberg, despite a strong showing at the beginning of the year. Financial experts say a surge in demand for dollars by companies paying for imports has ended the Cedi's strong performance. The forecast is coming after the local currency depreciated sharply in August to 11.7 to $1 due to tight foreign exchange liquidity. Currently, the Bank of Ghana is quoting the local currency at 11.96 to $1. However, the Cedi is going for 13 cedis at the forex bureaus. This has cancelled some of the Cedi's 50% gain and saw it ranked as the world's best performer in the 3 months through June.
So it's become quite a topical conversation, you know. So is it that the holidays for the Ghana Cedi is over, or this is just a blip in its appreciation against the international currencies? Let's look at what exactly Bloomberg is talking about if it says that the Ghanaian Cedi is one of the worst performing currencies globally. So Bloomberg in its latest report says that if you look at the rankings on your screen, you can see that the bottom figure of 13.4 is the Ghana Cedi, and it's as compared to the Argentine peso, the Botswana pull-up, the Dominican Republic peso, the Chilean peso, and the Ethiopian birr. The Cedi seems to be taking quite a beating if you compare it to how much you need to get a dollar, and it is on the back of that Bloomberg is predicting or projecting that as of the third quarter of 2025, the Ghanaian Cedi is really struggling to keep up with how the dollar is performing. Again, if you look at how it is, if you need foreign exchange to get or you need how much Cedi do you need to get foreign exchange, the pound is going for 16.5 buying, and then selling is 17.5. The US dollar is currently 12.5. If you're buying it is 13.1. Then the euro 14.5. 15.1 is if you're buying it. The Canadian dollar is also there, 8 cedis for those who are selling, and then it's 9.5 if you're buying it. Then you go on and on to the Nigerian naira, which is also 0.007. I think Ghanaian cedi, comparatively to the Nigerian naira, is at least flexing its muscles there. But then the CFA franc, you need 19 if you're buying it, if you're selling it, and then 21.5 cedis for the CFA franc if you want to use that particular currency. So it's become quite a topical conversation. In the early part of the year, the cedi was doing quite well. So what exactly is accounting for this current depreciation in the third quarter of this year? Let's now engage the thoughts of an economist, Dr. Samuel Walanyo Mensah, who has joined us for a quick chat. Doc, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to our cherished viewers across the globe.
I mean, I'm sure you've been following the performance of the Ghana cedi. We hailed it as the best performer in the last first and second quarters of this year. The third quarter, the cedi is depreciating, especially against the US dollar. What, in your estimation, is accounting for this?
Well, thank you very much. I think by and large, from the beginning of the year, government has managed the economic indicators quite well. But I believe that government was not fulfilling its financial obligations in terms of the debt restructuring. And so we owe bondholders, both coupon, individual bondholders, commercial bondholders, and that of the corporate bondholders. So at this very crucial time, government is fulfilling those promises or those financial obligations, and is putting much more pressure on the local currency. The other also has to do much more with government investing into the productive sectors of the economy, vis-a-vis also infrastructure. And so you realize that from the first two quarters of the year, government wasn't pumping or investing financial resources into the road construction. And now that government has really push resources into the big push, definitely it poses more threats to the local currency. And also the global international markets. We are approaching the festivities, and people really need to transact businesses in order to import goods into this country. And all this means foreign currency, so the demand for the dollar is quite high. And I believe that a few days ago, I've heard the central bank also giving some indicators about how the local economy is being managed. Vis-a-vis, we're looking at aviation lines charging in foreign currencies, dollars, and others. Real estate companies charging in dollars. Some educational facilities also charging in dollars. Even health institutions charging in dollars. And so at the end of the day, the local demand for the foreign currencies are quite high. And this is putting much more pressure on the local currency.
Right.
And also, most of the expatriates are now also repatriating their profit backs because most of them will be going for summer, and most of them will be going for holidays. And the economy is much more of an import-led economy. So the foreign direct investments are also having a toll on the local economy, vis-a-vis the local currency.
So I hear you say that it is not that government has taken any misstep in terms of managing the economy or the local currency. It is that these are all natural occurrences which is affecting or taking a toll on the cedi. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. There are new dimensions into managing the economy, and also if you look at the issues of globalizations and its trends, these are all having tolls on the local economy. Not necessarily the government is not putting structures well.
Right.
But I think that still the bar stops with the government. So government needs to do everything possible for us to have a stable currency going forward. If not, that is going to trigger the cost of living to go higher,
right,
and making the cost of living to also be influenced largely.
And what do you think the immediate impact would be on the everyday Ghanaian? I mean, we are getting into the fourth quarter festivities. Christmas is around the corner, but if we are seeing this kind of depreciation, how would that directly or indirectly affect the everyday Ghanaian?
Well, it's likely to influence inflation, and the inflation is likely to go higher. even though we are all predicting and believing that inflation to fall to single digits. And once inflation triggers, definitely is really going to affect cost of living. Cost of living will go higher while standard of living will fall. And this will also affect people's purchasing powers. And once your purchasing powers are being influenced largely, definitely it's going to affect manpower development and also the productive sectors, because people will not be in good health much more to be able to contribute towards the productive sector. So it's really going to affect government's income level, because government needs to get their taxes from high level of productivity. And so if these returns are going to diminish, then the law of diminishing returns sets in. And so I believe that we need to do everything possible to improve upon the economies of scale in order to be able to sustain the economy. If not, then it's really going to be a tough time for an ordinary citizen.
Dr. Samuel Walanyo-Mensah, thank you for your time and thoughts this evening on how the economy is likely to be affected by the depreciation of the Cedi in the third quarter. We'll keep an eye on it and see what happens and what kinds of interventions government can put in to stabilize or at least reverse the current depreciation.
Moving away from the Cedi, MultiChoice Ghana has accepted to reduce prices of its packages as the government sets up a committee to look into fair pricing. Minister of Communications Sam Nati George announced a U-turn in a press conference today.
After 29 days since the Communication Minister's directive to MultiChoice Ghana Limited to reduce the prices of their DSTV packages or risk suspension, the satellite communication company has finally caved in. At a press briefing, the minister mentioned that a stakeholder committee will be set up to determine the cuts at a decision by 21st September.
Ahead of the expiration of the suspension notice tomorrow, MultiChoice yesterday reached out to the ministry and the regulator, indicating now a willingness to comply to address the pricing concerns through a consultative process, as was adopted by the ministry with the MNOs during the data pricing reduction exercise. The committee has a strict 14-day mandate, inclusive of weekends, to conclude its work and present a suitable price reduction structure for the people of Ghana by the 21st of September 2025.
He also stated that the Canal Group, who is in the process of acquiring MultiChoice Africa, has pledged to abide by any agreement reached by the current MultiChoice management.
The NCA still has the mandate to ensure that they collect what is due from the fines that we imposed on MultiChoice for the almost 24 days before they provided the information that they did not provide the information.
He emphasized that the accumulated fine of 150,000 Ghana cedis will still be collected by the NCA.
Meanwhile, the minister in the same press briefing clarified the expected union between AT and Telecel. He stated that the union is neither a merger nor an acquisition. Nura Mohammed has more.
On 1st September 2025, ATC commenced the disconnection of power to AT's radio access networks across the country due to the outstanding debt. To avoid a national crisis that could have affected over 3 million subscribers of AT Ghana, the NCA directed AT and Telecel to immediately establish a national roaming agreement, thereby migrating all of AT's traffic onto Telecel's network to minimize disruption. We expect to have some challenges, however. Some of AT's customers may experience limited challenges during the traffic migration, though the majority of subscribers are unlikely to notice any disruptions. The NCA and AT will issue timely communication to subscribers to address and resolve any concerns that may arise. Let me be very clear, and I need to be very, very clear on this because we've seen media reportage. This is not a merger. It is also not an acquisition. We're dealing with a force majeure situation, and the work of the transaction advisor and the recommendations from their report will lay out a clear path for the consideration of government.
And now to education. 14 individuals, including teachers, students and invigilators, have been arrested across the country for their alleged involvement in examination malpractice in the West African Senior High School certificate examination. Now, the number is expected to rise as investigations continue. WAEC further cautioned that results from the affected schools will be subjected to thorough scrutiny.
Monitoring teams have unearthed a series of irregular activities at a number of the examination centers. These include, but not limited to, the following. 1. 2 persons were arrested for impersonation at Ghana College, Kaswa. They were arraigned before court and have been sentenced to 6 months imprisonment each, while their accomplice was sentenced to 8 months imprisonment. The proprietor of Christian IPS Kukrantumi, as well as one of his invigilators, have been arrested for creating a WhatsApp group on which they shared snapshots of questions and solutions to the questions. They have been handed over to the police for further investigations. Ebenezer Finn was arrested at St. Vincent College, Abradunkwa, for impersonation. He has also been arraigned before court. Hannah Lariba, a student of Yeji Senior High School, was arrested for impersonation at the Steps to Destiny Senior High School in Yeji. Another impersonator, Mumuni Abdul Hafiz, bolted before the monitoring team could apprehend him. Mr. Kodua Desmond was arrested at Abbott College, Asante Bekwai. He was handed over to the police and subsequently arraigned before court. He has been remanded into police custody for 2 weeks. Osei Asibe Daniel was arrested at Etrima Kwanwuma Presbyterian SHS for impersonation. He has been handed over to the police. Raymond Kwasi was arrested at Etrima Kwanwuma Presbyterian SHS for contracting Osei Asibe Daniel to write the examination on behalf of Obin Dapa Emmanuel. Maxwell Chamba and Amaglo Livingston were arrested at Sefa Bonsu SHS EG for impersonation.
Still on education, the minister in charge, Haruna Idrisu, has appealed for a collective effort to sustain government's no-fee stress policy, a social intervention aimed at lifting financial restrictions to tertiary education. He has proposed that 2.5% of all oil revenues be dedicated to funding that policy to avoid over-reliance on the annual budget. Christian Yali has more.
Following its launch by the president in Koforidua, over 120,000 students have received a reimbursement of their funds under the no-fees stress policy, with some 23,000 still facing validation challenges. At stakeholder engagement on the program, the education minister touted the initiative as a major social intervention by the current government.
Without any fear of contradiction, we have responded to a social need of the Ghanaians. The Ghanaian parent and the Ghanaian student, President John Dramani Mahama, have responded adequately with the introduction of the no-fee stress.
He says the initiative must be sustained and as such needs a dedicated funding.
We must sustain the no-fee stress by all means possible and practicable. But I disagree that you should be at the mercy of budget. And my own notion and thinking is that Ghana should dedicate 2.5% of our oil revenue into supporting human capital. And that 2.5% of oil revenue should be dedicated to scholarships and bursaries. And the bursaries should deal with no-fee stress.
Chief Executive of the Student Loans Trust Fund, Dr. Sajida Shiraz, says efforts are underway to reimburse the remaining beneficiaries with validation challenges.
So far, we have validated about 143,000 students. We have paid 120,222 students as of today. and we have validated and yet to pay about 22,000 more students. There are about a number of students who have validation issues, about 23,000 by my last count. Everybody who applied for the no fee stress policy is accounted for. So you have our assurance that we are working to reimburse those who are yet to be reimbursed.
Stakeholders like the Africa Education Watch want government to ensure beneficiaries under STEM programs are adequately paid.
If you go to the University of Ghana, for instance, medicine, only 5 students doing medicine are regular. 95% are fee paying. If you go to UHAS, fee paying medicine are paying up to 12,000, level 100. Regular are paying over 8,000. The no fee stress policy, with its good intentions, is not covering these expenses in full. I'm talking about tuition fee. I'm not bringing accommodation in here.
According to Kofi Asare, the proposal to dedicate 2.5% of oil revenue to financing the policy must properly be looked at.
It's good to have a dedicated funding source for such important policies. But the challenge is that currently the Parliament has passed a law committing oil revenues to the big push. And so we are unable to have the 2.5%. The conversation must take place and continue at the cabinet level. Because I believe that it is not secured enough to commit all ABFA, all oil revenues, to just one intervention called big push.
In more news this evening, more than 11,000 workers in Ghana's health sector remain classified as casual workers, despite some having served for over 2 decades. Their working conditions and low wages have once again come under sharp criticism from organized labor. General Secretary of the Health Services Workers Union, Franklin Owusu-Ansah, asked government to act swiftly.
Sources say many of these casual workers have been in service for between 20 to 25 years, earning as little as 400 to 500 cedis a month. This, according to labor experts, violates Labour Act 651, which states in sections 75 and 76 that any worker engaged for more than 6 months must be regularized. The issue of casualization in the health sector, they argue, is undermining morale and performance of frontline workers.
We should be able to convert all casuals and IGF staff to mechanized ones and permanent ones. Some of our members have worked as casuals for over 25 years. Such precarious work undermines effective planning and worker dignity. We call for immediate conversion of all casual workers to permanent staff.
The call, which was made at the 81st anniversary of the Health Service Workers Union, where the union leadership demanded an end to what they described as a long-standing injustice. The union also raised concerns about inadequate funding in the health sector, pointing to a growing infrastructure gap, lack of equipment, and poor working conditions.
Health workers face extreme pressure and emotional torture daily in the course of discharging their duties. Implementation of agreed condition of service is not just a labor issue, but a health system issue. Motivation, fairness, and respect for agreements are essential to achieving better health outcomes.
Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Joshua Ansah, emphasized the need for better conditions of service for health workers across the country.
Health workers can sacrifice, unions can mobilize, and organizers can push every day. But without the right support, the system will continue to fail both workers and patients. That is why we cannot overlook the responsibilities of government and employers.
With rising pressure from the labor unions, the ball is now in government's court to address the long-standing concerns of casual workers in Ghana's health sector.
President John Dramani Mahama has pledged to work closely with the Ghana Journalists Association to restore Ghana's reputation as a model of press freedom, not only in West Africa, but across the continent. During a courtesy call by the GJA delegation, the president expressed concern about the country's consistent decline on the World Press Freedom Index.
The Ghana Journalists Association GJA President Albert Jomfor, leading the newly elected executives to call on the president, urged government to tighten legislation against those who attack journalists, stressing that current laws are too weak to serve as a deterrent.
The assault on journalists, respectfully, we entreat you to evoke your executive powers to enact a law to empower the security agencies to protect journalists.
He further called for compensation for journalists who have been assaulted in the line of duty.
I want to appeal to your good self for compensation for such practitioners or journalists who had suffered injuries in the line of duty in the form of assault.
The president cited the harassment of journalists as well as the high-profile murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale and subsequent attacks on media practitioners as issues that have tainted Ghana's international image.
We've seen a consistent decline in our international rankings, and that is an issue of concern for us. And part of it is because of issues to do with harassment of journalists, and even the unfortunate murder of Ahmed Swale, which caught international attention. And I think that since then, other incidents that have occurred have, diminished our ranking.
President Mahama also announced that his government will establish a forum for dialogue between journalists and security agencies aimed at educating officers that journalists are partners in national development, not adversaries.
And so we need to find a way of, one, ensuring that people, when they do that kind of thing, face sanctions or are punished. Because once there's no deterrent, they continue to do it. Or aside from that, to educate and create awareness that journalists are not enemies. They are reporting something that is happening. And so they must be given a free leverage to be able to do their reporting.
He again expressed commitment to collaborate with the GJA to ensure Ghana reclaims its pride of place in global press freedom rankings.
And now MTN Ghana has sponsored the tertiary education of 250 students from across the country through its Bright Scholarship Program. The official award presentation ceremony took place this morning at the Wesley Towers in Accra and was attended by several heads and representatives of the various tertiary institutions within the country. There's more in the following reports.
Since its inception in 2018, the Bright Scholarship Program continues to provide financial assistance to brilliant yet needy students. During the award ceremony on September 2nd, Adjoa Wiafe, the Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer, in the welcome address highlighted the scholarship's impact and how it is changing the lives of people, one student at a time.
The knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested. Understood the need to give back to the society that had so warmly accepted them, and established a scholarship scheme or system that has benefited over 1,000 students nationwide. And this laid the foundation for the MTN Bright Scholarship Scheme.
Reverend Dr. Lawrence Asare spoke on behalf of the jury, sharing his personal experience and commended MTN for the good work.
The interview process, which spanned 2 weeks, gave us the opportunity to meet young men and women whose stories reflected resilience, determination, and unwavering desire to pursue education despite financial challenges. I know what it means to support the needy but brilliant people in Ghana, and I want to say kudos to MTN management, the MTN Foundation, for the good work they are doing.
The CEO of the company, Stephen Blewett, emphasized on the impact of the scholarship program while sharing plans to increase the number of beneficiaries in subsequent years.
For many young people, the path to education is filled with challenges. Financial difficulties, limited resources, and uncertainty often stand in the way of dreams. That is why the MTN Ghana Foundation established the MTN Bright scholarship scheme to remove these barriers and give brilliant students a fair chance to succeed. The scholarship covers tuition, accommodation, a stipend, and a laptop to support the learning. 10 students have graduated as valedictorians and best students from universities. 520 have graduated with first-class honours. 94 have graduated in the second-class upper division. Encouraged by this impact, MTN Ghana Foundation is committed to scaling up the scholarship to reach even more Ghanaians. Over the next 3 years, 1,500 students and teachers will be selected each year.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. We have business, sports, entertainment all coming up.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle. From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Government is hopeful of increasing Ghana's non-traditional export trade earnings from 3.5 million cedis to 10 billion cedis in the next 5 years. It says plans are far advanced to boost trade cooperation for Ghanaian businesses through Ghana's diplomatic missions abroad. Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister James Jachikwesin was speaking at the 4th edition of the Made in Ghana Bazaar ongoing in Accra.
These were among a raft of measures aimed at increasing international patronage of locally produced goods and services to grow the Ghanaian economy. The Made in Ghana Bazaar is a platform for local businesses to exhibit their wares to both local and international participants, as well as efforts to link them to international investors and partners.
To increase Ghana's non-traditional export earnings from $3.5 billion annually to at least $10 billion by 2030, while focusing on value addition, economic diversification, and private sector partnership to create jobs and develop key value chains. I'm pleased to report that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, together with our diplomatic missions abroad and partner institutions, are on course with the execution of Ghana economic diplomacy agenda. The ministry has assisted numerous Ghanaian businesses, goods and services in gaining access to international markets.
Ghana's Trade Ministry, which applauded the initiative, admonished local businesses to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area after, in Ghana, to launch into other markets on the continent and around the world.
With the African Continental Free Trade Area after, Secretariat headquartered in Accra, Ghana is uniquely positioned to champion intra-Africa trade and regional integration. We must ensure that Made in Ghana brand aligns not only with AFTA opportunities, but also with global value chains, making our goods not only regionally competitive, but globally recognized.
The 3-day Made in Ghana Bazaar ends on Sunday, September 7.
Now, in today's tech-driven world, mobile money is transforming how we pay quickly, conveniently, and right from our phones. But as 3 businesses, Noel Mawedem Kofi, hit the streets to investigate, the big question remains, are Ghana's small businesses fully on board or still weighing their options?
According to data from the Bank of Ghana, total volumes of mobile money transactions for June 2025 were 735 million, resulting in 323.16 million cedis in value. However, from the roadside vendors around the Medina market to phone shop owners, mobile money is within reach, but not always within use. While some businesses welcome it with open arms, others remain hesitant.
How has it impacted the business?
I can't tell. It doesn't impact in any way. It's the same as the physical cash, or yes, it's the same thing.
What of any challenges that you face so far using mobile money?
We've not been facing any challenges.
What I've realized is that a lot of the youth and the elderly choose to use mobile money due to convenience, and a lot of people actually don't like using the physical cash because of theft and all this stuff.
At first, we used to take Momo, but due to some scammers, we do not accept it again. We only direct you to a Momo vendor to withdraw the money in physical cash before we sell to you.
Interestingly, the informal transport sector is catching on. Some choo-choo drivers and their mates now accept mobile money, even though it comes with its own set of challenges.
Because of
some scammers, we make sure we see the notification of the transaction before allowing you to board the car. Due to some people not having the fiscal cash for their transport fares, we sometimes accept mobile money. Financial economist Dr. Eric Bwachiyadom However, is calling for incentives to motivate a complete cashless economy.
If government want to encourage it more, what can be done is that government should introduce additional incentive. The additional incentive could be the more you use mobile money, especially for the informal sector, the more your cash flows can be monitored. And when you go to bank for maybe bank loan, it will minimize your rate.
Away from that, GCB Bank has officially launched the GCB Hajj account, a dedicated savings product designed to support Muslims preparing for the sacred pilgrimage to Mecca. This initiative promotes financial inclusion, security and convenience, ensuring prospective pilgrims are financially equipped for their journey.
The new account allows would-be pilgrims to save towards their journey to Mecca with a minimum deposit of just 50 Ghana cedis. Customers would enjoy 0 monthly charges and benefit from free insurance coverage, including protection against loss of property and coverage in the event of death during the pilgrimage.
We have launched this product essentially to help our customers who are Muslim to fulfill what their religious right is. What GCB has done today is essentially saying you no longer have to be saving monies with any personalities. Just open a Hajj account with us, which is actually a savings account. Build up your savings. When it is time for your journey, we would help you by transferring that money to the Hajj account in the name of your designated Hajj agent. We have a coverage for death. If it happens, there's some money we'll pay to the families of the deceased. We also have insurance coverage for theft and loss of properties and a lot more. This is what we are doing as a bank to give back to our Muslim societies who have always remained loyal to us.
Member of the Hajj Board, Inusa Husseini, commended the initiative, noting that the account will help prevent fraud and protect programs from falling victim to fake Hajj agents.
I think that the payment issue will no longer become that kind of a problem for people to get scammed by any other people parading as fake Hajj agents or even paying, fronting for the Hajj Board or is the Hajj Task Force.
Deputy Manager, Financial Stability Department at the Bank of Ghana, Daniel Mensah Sapon, encouraged pilgrims to take full advantage of the GCB Hajj account, citing its transparency and security. As part of the broader initiative, GCB Bank has also established an Islamic banking unit to better serve the financial needs of Ghana's Muslim community.
We'll end the business segment by taking a look at what's happening on the forex and commodities markets. My name is Minu Afo. Stay with us.
sports segment is brought to you by
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, the Black Star squad started training in Accra a day after their disappointing 1-1 draw with Chad as they prepare for a home encounter against Mali on September 8th in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Now, my colleague Andrew Sifa-Banfo was at the session and has the details.
24 hours after failing to shine in Chad, the Black Stars are back in town, but this time for their next assignment. Ghana take on Mali in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers on Monday. Now, much of the frustration of fans was centered on the dysfunctional midfield involving Abdul Saleh Samed and Ayisha Yakubu. But news coming in from the Black Stars camp is that there's a potential return for Thomas Tepate due to accumulation of yellow card for Ayisha Yakubu. Meanwhile, midfielder Ibrahim Sulemana also picked up a knee knock which ruled him out of Ghana's game against Chad, opening the door for a late caller for Real Oviedo's Kwesi Sibo. Also, there's the return, of Joseph Pinto and then Alexander Ejiku. Both players did not play any part in Ghana's game when they played Chad on Monday. But then the players are here training with the team. At the moment, 19 players are training with the Black Stars, with 3 goalkeepers as well. So it's a total of 22 players training here in light session, cool down in preparation for Ghana's game against Mali. Remember that the Black Stars are top of Group I with 16 points, whilst Madagascar are second with 13 points. So if the Black Stars are able to beat Mali on Monday, the Black Stars will move to 19 points, which means that they'll be inching closer to securing a fifth ever World Cup spot. Andrew Sefa-Banfo for 3 Sports from the Accra Sports Stadium.
Now moving on to women's football, Police Ladies have ended their CAF Women's Champions League qualification tournament on a disappointing note, losing by 5-4 on penalties to USFA in the third place playoff. The Ghanaian side were defeated 4-1 by ASEC Mimosas in the semis and were hopeful of finishing third in the competition, albeit that wouldn't have ensured qualification to the Women's CAF Champions League. The game ended goalless after regulation time, going straight into penalties where USFA were ruthless, getting the victory and finishing third with a 5-4 victory. Now, Police Ladies are now expected to return to Ghana from Ivory Coast, having failed to seal a place in the Women's CAF Champions League. Now, before we do go, by way of updates, the Democracy Cup match between Hartlepool and also Accra Great Olympics is currently ongoing at the Legon Sports Stadium, and the scoreline as of now is still pegged at 0-0 between the two teams. It's in the second half, and there are just a few minutes left to the end of the game. That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen.
Super Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil. Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Well, good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, legendary Nigerian actor Segun Arinze has called for stronger collaboration among creatives across the West African sub-region. Now, according to Arinze, meaningful partnerships between stakeholders are essential to unlocking and showcasing the region's creative potential on a global stage. Appreciation for theatre in Ghana is on the rise. The growing interest has been largely attributed to the hard work and dedication of Ghanaian theatre professionals. Nollywood actor Segun Arinze recently touched down in Ghana for the Black Star stage play powered by African Arts Network. Speaking to 3NT, Arinze emphasized that strong partnership among stakeholders are essential to fully explore and showcase the creative potential of West African countries on a global scale.
It's a nice warm feeling, and it's a good thing for us to collaborate, particularly in West African sub-region. It's good for us to collaborate and do things. Nigeria, Ghana, of course, it's a story, a never-ending story of brotherhood, friendliness, and inter-marriages and all that. But it's good. So this tells you that it's something very, very serious. And of course, we share history.
Along with a team at the African Arts Network, is set to present its latest musical stage production, Black Star. Ghanaian actor and theatre practitioner Andrew Tando also expressed his excitement about the growing appreciation for theatre in Ghana.
The theatre space is looking fantastic. It is growing, it is vibrant, and it is absolutely pulsating. And I'm happy with all the new people who are coming on board, Africa Arts Network especially, who are coming on board to make this space even more vibrant than it already is. And as far as bringing powerful names like Segun Arinze here, is going to be a big sign for collaborations across the pond, across the African continent. So hopefully this will be the beginning of something big, not only a national but an international growth, an international collaboration, and an international explosion of cultures. That we need to have a sense of urgency as far as our creative space is concerned. We need to get things going, we need to get things moving. The world is moving forward and it's moving at a very fast rate, and if we do not grow, if we do not jump across this leap, this divide that we are facing creatively as a country or as a continent, I'm afraid we'll be left behind. So there is no time than now.
And now to some more stories. Stonebwoy has unveiled the track list for his upcoming EP, The Torture, set for release later this month. Now, the 9-track project includes the lead single, Gidi Gidi, along with Send Them a Prayer, Torture, Samankudi, Outside a Lifestyle, and Deeper. Collaborations include Susuka with B-Strap and Yautog, with with Agbeshi and Kenny Ice. Now, the announcement follows weeks of teasers from a burning Ankh motion graphic on 14th of August to a poetic video on 1st September. And that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News360. My name is Noella Donko.
Let's now bring you international news.
British Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner resigned on Friday after saying she deeply regretted her mistake of underpaying property tax on a new home in a damaging blow for her boss, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, after Britain's independent advisor ruled that she had breached the ministerial code by failing to pay the correct tax. There was little Starmer could do to protect his deputy, saying he was very sad to be losing you from the government. Describing her as a trusted colleague and a true friend, Rayner, 45, is the 8th and the most senior ministerial departure from Starmer's team, and the most damaging yet, after the British leader offered her his full support when she was first accused of avoiding £40,000 in tax on the transaction.
That's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you so much for watching. Visit our website, 3news.com, for more news. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. Have a lovely weekend.